How do you quilt a very large quilt on a domestic sewing machine? The quilt that is on the wall behind me, as you can see, is a very large quilt, and it was quilted by me on a domestic sewing machine, and a sewing machine actually much smaller than this one. For those of you that are in the know, it was quilted on a very old Bernina 1260, which I bought in 1989, and that quilt went on to win some extremely large prizes in both the UK and in America. So how did I do it? Well, I think all things are achievable if you really want to do them. So the first thing to say is having your sewing machine set down into a table is the best thing that you can do to enable you to sew comfortably for long periods of time and get accurate results. And that is true whether you are doing regular straight stitch with the feed dogs raised or free motion, as I have on the quilt behind me. So my sewing machine is set down so everything is flush. And I also think that if your sewing machine, the bed of your sewing machine is straight, it's really helpful. Some sewing machines have a curved section leading up to the stitch plate and the needle, and they're much harder to set down into a table because of that curved edge, and I don't find that curved shape helpful at all. So a straight bed to your sewing machine is helpful. And what I've also got on this particular setup is that the distance from the needle point to the front of the table is very large. It's about 11 inches, and it means that I can rest my arms down comfortably and have good control of the work that I'm doing, and it also means that the work is supported. So sewing machine setup is very important. Now you might see people recommend that you roll the quilt up so that it makes a big sausage, and so that you can get this sausage underneath the space, the arm of the sewing machine. I personally find that really difficult and never ever do it. What I do is I just put the quilt on the table, but I keep it fairly bunched up, so I don't have it spread out flat. I have it lightly bunched, and so it's able to move. If it's spread out flat and much bigger than the piece I've got here, that is much harder to move that through the sewing machine than if it is all lightly bunched. So you may need to be pausing often to rearrange the quilt, to kind of take the weight off it, to redistribute the weight so that the quilt is able to move freely through the sewing machine. So think about the setup and think about how you are arranging the quilt as it goes through the sewing machine. Now, whether I'm doing free motion quilting or regular straight stitch, I often use little what I call gripper mats, and this is a kind of rubbery substance that you can buy in kitchen shops. It comes on a little roll, and it's for putting on shelves and trays and things to stop things moving around. And so I buy this and I cut it into pieces that are about 4 by 6 inches, and I find that as I'm sewing that they really help to grip the work and enable me to move it through the sewing machine. I find them absolutely invaluable. When I'm doing straight stitch, I'll have one under each hand, and they're slightly tensioning the work and helping to push it through. And when I'm doing free motion work, I'll have one of these under my left hand, and what I will have is a little pinch of the work with my right hand, and that enables me to guide things and to control the work well. You know, I've got a good strong grip, but I'm not kind of trying to kill the thing, you know, it's already dead. My hands are holding the work firmly, but they still maintain a kind of relaxed nature to them. So you want to be relaxed through your shoulders and your arms and your hands as you are doing your actual sewing. I also think that how you are sitting and where you are sitting and what you are sitting on really matters. So I have an adjustable height chair so I can get a comfortable height, and you know, quite often change the height of this chair depending on what I'm doing, the size of the piece, the type of work that I'm doing. You want a chair without arms so that you are free to move, and you want to be sat squarely in front of the needle. So I think that your nose should be in line with your needle, that your arms should be in a comfortable position. You shouldn't be hunched over, you shouldn't be really tense. Remember to relax yourself and make sure that your not only your shoulders and your arms are squarely in front of the sewing machine, so are your hips and your knees and your feet. So you're not sitting on a slight angle, you're not reaching for the foot control to work the sewing machine. Everything is kind of ergonomically correct, as it were. The sewing machine foot that you use can be very helpful. So if you are doing free motion work, I like to have an open toe metal free motion foot, so I've got good visibility at the needle point. I think that's really important. I think if you're doing regular straight stitch, that a walking foot or built-in dual feed can be really helpful in enabling the work to move nicely through the sewing machine. And I would also think about your stitch length and not have it too short, so that the work is feeding through more easily and the stitch length has enough kind of space to show the decorative thread off, because you want your stitching to look like beautiful machine stitching. You're not trying to disguise it as hand stitching. So my suggestion to you is have a nice big table if possible, clear everything off the table, have a good working space. Think about the feet that you are using, think about the length of stitch, make sure that you are sitting squarely in front of the sewing machine and remembering to relax and not be too tense, and get up and walk about every so often so that you are not holding the same position for a long time. Really analyze what you are doing and think about all the things that I've said. I'm sure there'll be some little tips there that will help you.